All right, let's talk about something that sounds, well, terrifying. Exploding head syndrome. I mean, with a name like that, it's got to raise one very, very important question. I know what you're thinking, right? The name alone is enough to give you a panic attack. So let's just get the most important fact out of the way right here, right now. No, your head does not actually explode. Thank goodness. Exploding head syndrome, or EHS for short, is what's known as a parasomnia, basically a type of sleep disorder. It's an auditory hallucination. You hear a loud, sudden noise that isn't really there, usually right as you're dozing off. And here's the key. It's painless, and it's not considered a serious health concern. Okay, so if your head isn't literally exploding, what does it feel like for people who go through this? What's actually happening in that moment? Well, it's not just a sound. It's often this whole event. The main thing is that sudden, incredibly loud noise. People describe it like a bomb going off, a gunshot right next to their ear, or a massive cymbal crash. But sometimes it also comes with a bright flash of light, or even this weird feeling of electrical tingling zapping through your body. And as you can imagine, it triggers this huge fear response. Your heart starts racing, you break out in a sweat. I mean, it is a genuinely scary thing to experience. Now, you're probably thinking something this bizarre has to be super rare, right? But get this, some studies estimate that around 10% of people, that's 1 in every 10, might experience this at least once. It's way more common than that crazy name would have you believe. And here's another interesting little tidbit. While it's an area that definitely needs more research, the reports we do have suggest that women seem to experience it more often than men. So this all leads to the big question. Where does this come from? What is causing our brains to create their own private, terrifying sound effects? Well, this is where things get a little mysterious. Yep, that's the simple and kind of frustrating answer. As of right now, science doesn't have a single definitive cause, but they do have some pretty solid theories. So, while the exact why is a mystery, scientists have a few ideas. One of the leading theories is that it's a little glitch in the brainstem, which is the part of your brain that's managing the shutdown sequence as you fall asleep. Think of it like this. Instead of your brain's auditory neurons quietly powering down for the night, they all misfire at once. Bam! Other theories point to things like tiny seizures, sudden shifts in your middle ear parts, or even psychological triggers like high stress, anxiety, or PTSD. And hey, this isn't just some weird story people tell online. This is all documented stuff. Researchers have defined the condition, laid out the symptoms, everything we've been talking about. The source material really grounds it as a real, though not fully understood, medical phenomenon. Okay, so what if this happens to you? What do you do? How is it diagnosed? And more importantly, how do you manage it? The answer might actually surprise you. This is probably the most important thing to hear if you ever experience EHS. The prognosis is good. It's what's known as a benign condition. It's frightening for sure, but it isn't dangerous. And just knowing that, well, that's the whole key. And this is where it gets really fascinating. The fear and anxiety you get from an episode can actually make future episodes more likely. But just by learning what it is and being reassured that you're okay, many people find the episodes happen less often or even stop completely. In this case, knowledge really is the best medicine. So, the primary response isn't about popping a pill, though some meds have been tried in really severe cases. It's this 3-step process. First, get a proper diagnosis to make sure it's not something else. Second, education, which is exactly what you're doing right now. And third, reassurance to break that cycle of fear. You know, you hear a name like exploding head syndrome, and you think it has to be a modern thing, right? Something discovered recently. Turns out, people have been trying to describe this strange feeling for centuries. The history here is just incredible. Some scholars think the very first written account might have been from the philosopher René Descartes, way back in 1691. Then, in 1876, a physician called them sensory discharges. By 1920, they were calling it snapping of the brain, which, let's be honest, is also pretty alarming. It actually wasn't until 1988 that we got the blockbuster name we use today. You can literally see the evolution of our understanding just by looking at the names. It goes from these clinical terms to more dramatic ones. And now, we're seeing a push to go back. That most recent proposal, episodic cranial sensory shock, yeah, it's a bit of a mouthful, but you can see what they're doing. They're trying to swap terror for accuracy. The idea is that a less frightening name could help reduce that initial panic, which we now know is a huge part of managing the whole thing. So, exploding head syndrome is this strange, startling peek behind the curtain of our own consciousness. It's a reminder that even in the simple act of falling asleep, our brains are capable of some pretty incredible and sometimes baffling things. And it really makes you wonder, doesn't it? What other secrets is our brain hiding in those hazy moments between being awake and being asleep?